Welcome to the Church Solutions Podcast, brought to you by JSL Solutions. The Church Solutions Podcast is designed to help equip you and your church in the use of technology and other tools and services. And now, here are your hosts, Steve Lacey and Phil Thompson.
And top of the day to you. Welcome to another broadcast, actually podcast technically, of the Church Solutions Podcast. My name is Phil Thompson.
And I'm Steve Lacey.
Did you notice we have drums now in our intro music?
We do. Yeah. Yes. My talented son has remixed some of his guitar playing stuff. I was actually talking to him about that, and I said, "Oh, can you be able to mix that in?" He goes, "It's just easier for him to replay the whole thing." So he said he knows it's like, falling off a horse or something for him. It's easy for him to just hear it and just replay it.
Yeah. Well, there you go. All right. Always jazzing things up around here. Hey, thank you very much, folks, for spending a little bit of time with us today. We are a tech company called JSL Solutions, and Steve Lacey is our president and founder. I don't know who I am. I'm just here to keep the seat warm, I guess.
You're the man.
And we provide services for churches, streaming video, mobile apps, church management stuff, and other things. And we generally talk about tech-related things, and we're doing that today, but we're going to continue on what we talked about last week, and that was helping you grow your church by taking some, I guess you might say, online business principles that will you can apply, especially if you do streaming video. You can apply this to get more people to watch your live streaming, and those who are local people, you can hopefully get them into the door of your church building and grow your church and connect with people. Did I summarize that?
That sounds. So, yeah. And just reviewing kind of the, borrowing from the online business world, right. It's basically you want to have a place where you're doing business, and you want to have a vehicle to get people to that place, and you want to begin to start a relationship with each of those people by offering them something and getting their contact information, and then establishing a relationship over time where they will eventually become a customer if you're an online business. So same principles apply, except you eventually come to Christ and attend your church.
Exactly, and hopefully their life changes. The person that comes to your church or family that comes to your life changes for the better, and they can also have a positive impact on your church and hopefully your community. So last week we talked about the first step, and we kind of called this kind of a ministry funnel, I guess.
Yes.
Where you are attracting people to your online service. And we said that one of the ways you could do that is to get some targeted advertising on some kind of a platform. And right. I think we talked a lot about Facebook.
Yes.
Last week, and how we've actually done this with another church, and we've seen some results. And so you target your ads on Facebook, and you target them specifically for the time you're streaming. So you create an ad, put it on Facebook, spend so much money for that short period of time. Right. Now, let's just say hypothetically you got a Sunday morning service at 10. So you would set up your ad, go through all the demographics, the target, all that stuff, and you'd run that ad from like 9:45 a.m. to maybe 11:30 or 12, somewhere around there,
right.
Through your service. You run that ad, people see that ad on Facebook, because there's only like 1 billion people or so on Facebook. But we're actually talking about targeting your community. So those in your community who are on Facebook see the ad, go to watch your stream, and then from there you want to hopefully have a web host or chat host that connects with them and gives them an opportunity to sign up on a connection card, a digital connection card, so to speak.
Yeah, you want to offer something of value to first-timers. And before we started recording this, there's another advantage to having an established incentive for your first-timers, and you make that that well known. Those that go to your church as well, that gives them another excuse to invite their friends and family that are in the neighborhood. They can say, hey, come to my church. You don't have to actually come, but come online. And hey, by the way, if you come online, then you'll get a free Starbucks card or something the first time you come. So it gives a vehicle for those that are attending the church, or gives them an avenue to invite their friends and provides them incentive to get their friends to come too.
All right. So if you missed that podcast, you can go back and listen to it. But we're just going to sum it up by saying you want to be able to, be able to connect with these people, capture their email information, and then from there send them a gift, and then from there begin to go through the what I would call the assimilation process, getting people connected and doing follow-ups and what have you.
Right.
And again, the end result is we're talking about targeting local people here, so they will be able to come into your door of your church eventually, and become part of the church community.
Yes.
So, all right. So where do we go from here?
So let's move on. So let's say that. Let me describe the funnel a little bit again. A little bit.
The ministry funnel.
So the fat end of the funnel is those that were exposed to your ministry, and that could be those that are on Facebook and they see the ad and
or Twitter or something else,
or some other
thing. Say Facebook, right?
So and that number is going to should be rather large. You should have several thousand people on a Sunday morning that are going to see your ad if you target it properly.
If you're in a community that's a large community.
Yeah. Right? Or you have, 500,000 people in your community. Right. There's going to be, maybe 1,000, maybe a little more. I can't remember what we got when we were at.
We had over 1,200.
1,200. Okay. Yeah. So several hundred to 1,000 that are going to be exposed to the ad. And then, so that's the fat end of the funnel. The next piece of that would be those that actually clicked on your ad and dropped into your service. And so then that's a smaller number. The next smaller number is going to be those that hung around for a little while. The next smaller number is those that you got connection card contact information for.
Right. Okay.
So, and then so on as far as those that come back, and then those that eventually come through your door. So it's going to be, the number that come through your door may be, 1/10 or 1/100th of a percentage of those that got exposed to your ad.
Right. So, and we should reiterate here too that when we're talking about buying an ad on Facebook, we're talking about for an hour and a half or 2 hours maybe that ad runs where people would see it in their browsers or see it on their desktop or see it on their mobile. But we only spent $100 on that one deal.
Right.
So if you did it for a month, if you just tried it for 4 Sundays, you could probably get under $400 as far as your budget,
Right.
And you would get a number of people to watch your stream. And then, as we said earlier, hopefully you connect with those. So you got to have a chat person, a host that and so anyhow. All right. So you described the funnel. Okay. So that's kind of how it works. So let's take it. All right. So now I've got 5 people. Let's hypothetically, I'm the chat host. We ran this. I got 5 people that were first time.
There are first timers, and
first time guests. I got their information because I designed a nice digital connection card.
Right.
And they clicked on it and they gave me their information. Now what do I do?
Yeah, and you made everyone aware of what they're going to get as a gift.
So we advertised the gift or something.
Step number 1 would be to follow through actually very quickly with them that signed up for the card. So there's some data, and I don't have it in front of me here, but it's shown that the quicker that you follow up with people once they provide their information, the more responsive they are to that follow-up.
Yeah. You really should do it within 24 hours.
Yes.
I would recommend sooner.
Right. There's some the drop-off is dramatic when you get beyond the 24 hours. If you're waiting a week, people forget they even filled out the thing, and they go, who is this person, that sort of thing.
Yeah, right.
So you want to do it very quickly. You want to follow up. You want to send them the gift. Yeah. You want to take their information and put it on your follow-up list. Okay. So a lot of churches, as I'm talking to different pastors and stuff, I'm finding that I thought this would be nearly 100%, but there's a lot of churches that don't have no follow-up system in place.
Right. Yeah.
but you would want to have a follow-up system in place, meaning you have somebody come visit your church, you have a means to follow up with them.
Right.
So you want to load them into your follow-up system.
We actually have one available.
Yes, we have a system online that we call our outreach system that is geared towards tracking and reminding and also getting your ministry people that are volunteers involved with the follow-up process.
And if there are people listening right now that happen to have an account with us, and many of them do, StreamingChurch.tv, it's in that. If you already have that. If you have StreamingChurch.tv or myflock.com or churchapplive.com.
Yes. So there's in our world, it's under church management, and there's a whole set of tools under outreach.
Yeah, we have all that. But regardless of what you use, you need to make sure these. So I get these 5 names.
So you got these 5 names,
and I send them. And really, you should send them something out right that afternoon, at the very latest, in my opinion. So all right. So I got their names. I'm putting them in my outreach tool. Got their names. Got their email addresses. And now what? Okay,
so now I send the gift to those first 5 people.
Okay.
And then I start to exercise my follow-up process. So that's going to vary from church to church. But at a minimum, what a lot of churches have, they have a newsletter, or they have some vehicle that they communicate with their members with. I would put them on my newsletter list so that they are queued up. The other thing that actually we have is we would assign the person to a ministry volunteer.
Okay.
So you would go through, and you can say, well, however you want to do this. You've got some people that are willing to volunteer with follow-up. It would say, Mary, we got a new guy that came. His name is Bob, and here's all his information based on his connection card. We either have Mary send the initial gift and introduce herself, or you let her know that, we've already sent the initial gift.
Right.
And then it's her job to begin the follow-up process. And you may, within your church, you would hopefully you would have a structured follow-up process that says, okay, after they come the first time, we send them a gift, we put them on the list, and that we have a system that 7 days or 4 days later, we're going to send them another invite to the following weekend service.
Right.
So Mary would be responsible for going in and saying, hey, Bob, it was great that you're here this past week. We'd love to see you here this next week. Here's what the pastor is going to be talking about.
Right.
Please join us online or come in person.
Right. Okay.
And so Mary would follow up with her 5 people if she's assigned to those 5 people.
Okay.
So you typically want to follow up, get them invited for the next week.
Okay.
Then after that, then you would determine whether, out of those 5, let's say 3 came back again or 2 came back again the following week. You want to go into your outreach system, your follow-up system, and record that, Bob that came last week came back again this week, and he filled out another communication card and put the comment in that he really thought the teaching was awesome or whatever it was.
Or put a prayer request in or something.
Yeah, maybe. And so you would start to mature these people down your funnel, because the goal is to get them coming to church regularly and starting to contribute as part of the ministry.
So let's say 5 people. We got 5 people, and then the next week 2 of the 5 show up online again. Bob and Leroy show up.
Yeah.
So I connect with them again. And maybe the second time now, I invite them to maybe an event at the church, actual church.
That would be appropriate. Or invite them to connect up with a small group that's in their area.
Right. Okay.
And then you have these 3 people that didn't come back. So you're going to want
those 3 people that didn't show up.
So you're going to want to send out a note to those guys and say, "Hey, we love that you came a week ago. We saw you missed this. We missed you this past weekend." Right. If there's anything we could do, just put them on your list, follow up with them again.
Yeah.
And so that they're in contact as well.
So I think then, from here on out, a lot of this is going to be the church's discretion. Each church is going to handle this a little differently. Ideally, I think what we would do is if somebody shows up once and, we make some connection with them, but they don't show up again, we might invite them a couple more times, and then maybe just put them in a category of first time, never came back.
Yeah, never came back, right.
And then maybe if we have some huge event, some special presentation, we might send them an email out. Hey, you watched us online a few months ago. You're always welcome to come again, or whatever that kind of. That's, to me, that's where the different churches are going to be. It's their own discretion. What we're trying to say here is you need to start doing something.
Yes, and you don't want to hound the people.
Right.
I think what's important is if you can offer something of value every time you communicate with them.
Yeah.
That is targeted for them, that they would value. If you can fold in, the getting them to sign up and you have a first time gift, that's a great deal. But inviting them to connect to a group, or if there's, we talked about at our church for having an even better gift for the second time that came back, for the people that came back, just to try to retain those numbers and get more and more people coming back to your church.
So, and one of the things too, like you mentioned earlier about, putting them on like your email newsletter list right off the bat. And we do that at my church. And we have we actually use MailChimp for our newsletter service, or whatever you call it. And they have a nice little thing where people can easily unsubscribe. There's a little unsubscribe button at the bottom of the newsletter.
Right.
And we have people do that, quite often. We get new people come and they love us, and some people are like, not for me. And so they easily unsubscribe. So
yes, you're not hounding and bothering these guys.
So I think that, whatever churches are using, you should probably have some kind of a link or something saying, unsubscribe or something, so you don't feel like people. But I on the other side of the coin here, I'll play devil's advocate. I'm sure there may be some people listening going, well, I don't want to bug people. I don't want to, hey, if people like us, they're going to come back. They don't need me to give them a gift or send them an email. How would you answer that? Well,
I think, there's some validity to that, but people need to know that it's how do I put this? It's a really good feeling when someone follows up with you.
Right.
If even if I did or I didn't like the experience, the fact that they took the time to reach out to me means a lot to those people. So you're not going to offend anyone, and if you make it such that say, hey, if you don't want to hear from me, here's the opportunity to not hear from me anymore.
You want to give them an out.
Yes.
You want to give them an exit ramp,
right?
I guess, so to speak. I think that where a lot of people do run into trouble, and this maybe flashes through some people's minds here that might be resistant to what we're talking about here, is that sometimes you get on somebody's email list or even physical address, and they just don't let up. And it's not just churches, it's anything, there's businesses out there that do that, and you just keep getting emails and you just keep getting stuff, and these people just won't quit. And that's what I think some people are afraid of.
Yeah, they may be. It's for example, I've got we get some mail at the house, and it's a very large, colorful brochure that is directed to, I don't know how they got my address, but it's directed to my mother, which has passed away 20 years ago, and we still get things probably every month from them. And there's no vehicle for, short of maybe calling and talking to people, there's no convenient vehicle to say, hey, this is no longer appropriate.
Right.
So,
so I think any kind of a follow-up procedure you do, and you need to do one, we believe, you do need to make sure there's an exit ramp or some kind of an out where people are like, hey, I'm not interested. I don't like your church. Stop bugging me.
Yeah, it was not for me. Or you could, even if you're directing them back to your church, you could offer to connect them with another church in your community.
Yeah, so
those
kind of things.
Say, hey, it wasn't a good fit for you. Maybe we can help recommend another, or we can just, not participate anymore.
I think follow-up is important because it's especially today, in this age that we live in today, there is so much stuff out there competing for people's time. And I'm not talking about other churches competing. I'm just talking about, there are people out there that have a hunger, a spiritual hunger. They do want to get involved. They do want to connect with people. They want to have relationship. But on the other side of the coin, there's lots of different things out there that distract people. And I think when you send some kind of an outreach, when you reach out to them, when you invite them, at least a couple times, at least you're giving them an opportunity to connect.
Right.
And if you don't do anything,
and that opportunity to connect may come in a bunch of different ways, and maybe coming back to church, or maybe it's just connecting up with some with similar interest, or if they have issues in their life they'd like to have addressed, then maybe we have some people within the church that would be willing to meet with them, or whatever it may be.
Yeah. All right. So we got a few minutes left here. So our emphasis here is, okay, you've got people's information, and you need to have some kind of a system in place to follow up with these people at least a few times.
Right.
And then from there, that's your discretion, I guess. But I think so. That's kind of where we're at right now in this process.
Right.
Right. So what's next? So I've done this. In the ideal situation, the person eventually shows up.
Yes.
Or the family shows up.
Yeah. Then if the family shows up in person at church, and I know at our church we get a lot of these people that have been, they look like they're first timers to the church, but they're I know this guy, I know that guy, and I've been coming for a while online.
Online. Yeah.
Yeah. So you want to continue your follow-up process, and it's there's a big thing at our church, and I think at a lot of churches, is emphasizing next steps. So what is this person's next step?
Right.
And so you make it
it could be baptism, could be membership class, could be small group.
Could be, right, exactly. But everybody has a next step that they're going to fit into.
Yeah. So, and again, I'm with you on this stuff too, because if you do get people finally showing up, you want them to, connect and establish relationships. And so different classes you offer can help. I mean, again, every church is different. I realize people listening to this podcast do church differently than maybe what I do or you do.
And this thought of next steps actually applies all the way down the funnel, right? So once you got somebody, if you get people that are attending online, you say, hey, your next step is fill out a communication card to get on our list, and hey, you filled out that, what's your next step? Right. So you want to make it apparent what the next step is for everybody, all the way from the beginning to the end.
Right. Yeah. And hopefully, ultimately, we're presupposing these people, have given their life to God, and they're involved in your church, and then hopefully they can, whatever area and talent that they have, the gifts and talents they have, they can begin to serve the church and serve the community.
Yeah, that would be their next step at that part of it.
Help them find that. Okay, all right, good. So again, when we talk about this is using streaming video, using online technology to grow your church. That's what we're talking about here.
Right. So it's you're going to want to. A lot of churches will have this in place for those that come through the door. And this really just expands your borders to the internet, so you've got a wider net that you can reach out to.
Right. Yeah.
So,
and I suppose, we're talking specifically about getting people to watch your live stream, but you could probably use a variation of what we're talking about here with your Facebook page, maybe your website, maybe something. You don't necessarily have to do streaming video, but you can still use these principles to, if somebody connects to your blog or something you've got online, you follow up with them and hopefully help them connect.
Right.
So, all right, good. All right, good deal. So, again, I want to emphasize, we're talking about spending a little bit of money here, but you don't maybe absolutely have to do that, but what we've been talking about is using targeting advertisement on Facebook. Mm-hmm. Twitter has some options. There's other platforms out there as well, and maybe we'll cover some of that in a future podcast.
Yes.
So I'd like to get people's feedback on this. We're about out of time here, but send us an email, support@StreamingChurch.tv. Let us know what you think about this idea. We know that it works. We know people that watch streaming video, if they're in the area, they like your church, they like what they're seeing and hearing. If they're in the area, they show up. We've seen that happen. That's a proven fact. And we think that by expanding this a little more, you can reach people. And if you can reach 5 or 6 families a year that actually get connected, that actually become a part of the church, that's pretty good. 5 or 6 families a year that I mean, I know that's a small number, but you do that every year, you're growing a church.
Yeah.
And they're
I mean, if you've got a church of 3,000, that would be hardly anything. But if I've got a church of 80, that's some significant growth.
Right, exactly. All right. So let us know what you think about this. And if we can help you in any way, we certainly would like to do that. That's our vision, is to help churches. And we always say help churches use technology to reach their purpose. And Steve and I have been around for a while. We've been doing church stuff for quite a while. I don't want to say how old we are, but we're old enough to remember when Cleveland didn't have a championship. So, Cleveland Indians. Well, no, the Cleveland Cavaliers. I was talking to one of our customers who's a Cavs fan. So anyhow, all right, we're done. Again, let us know if we can help you. Support at StreamingChurch.tv. And check out our product, StreamingChurch.tv, as one of our websites that does streaming video. ChurchAppLive.com, mobile app. You can get a mobile app and connect your members. MyFlock.com, church management systems, including the outreach tool. And Greeter.church is another website, Greeter.church. And if you want a live greeter on your own website, we can provide that for you. Just let us know. All right, we're done.
All right.
His name is Steve Lacey. I'm Phil Thompson. We will catch you next time on another edition of the Church Solutions Podcast. Have a great day.